Hello, thank you very much for being with us. You are watching Amish Shakil 5858 and I am Amir Budnam. Reported by American and Canadian channels and is AFP, AP and Reuters news agencies. Now the headlines. American.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air in New York City. New reporting just in. New details inside the deadly shooting right in the heart of New York. The suspect making it to the 33rd floor with an M4 style assault rifle. Tonight, the mayor now saying the gunman may have been targeting NFL headquarters. He killed 4 people as he made his way into the building and up to that floor. The horror unfolding inside the Park Avenue office building, home of the NFL headquarters and a well-known investment firm. Authorities say the gunman casually walked into the building and opened fire. And police say in a random moment, allowing one woman to walk off the elevator right past him unharmed. Employees stacking furniture to barricade their doors. Tonight, the 4 dead, including an off-duty police officer with a pregnant wife at home, and the 3-page note on his body revealing his possible motive. Also tonight here, the life-threatening heat. 170 million Americans under dangerous heat alerts at this hour. The New York City subways now struggling. The power outages, the delays, trains halted. Temperatures feeling like triple digits from Texas to Nebraska, all the way to the Northeast. 104 degrees in Philadelphia, 103 in New York City. And now this heat triggering tornadoes and severe storms with damaging winds. Late today, President Trump returning to the White House and making a claim about Jeffrey Epstein while on Air Force One. The president telling reporters Jeffrey Epstein stole people who worked for him at Mar-a-Lago, saying some of them were young women. He says Epstein took them from Trump's spa. And what else the president is now claiming about Jeffrey Epstein? Tonight there are new images now of pulsing being in the large explosion responders right searching for workers still missing. The harrowing close call tonight involving a fighter jet, and you'll see it. The pilot making a stunning maneuver was trying to evade. And you know this from live with Kelly involved side and scene. Traveling back to the country where Mark spent most of his childhood to help lift a town that had been largely forgotten. Wanting to cheer for the underdog, and we have a feeling of rooting for them too. Tonight we take you back to Italy with Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa to run with the Wolves. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir. Good evening, and it's great to have you.
Ultimatum to Israel this Tuesday night unless it agrees to end the appalling situation in Gaza.
The suffering must end.
As Gaza quickly spirals into famine.
This is unlike anything we have seen in this century.
Deadly mass shooting in Midtown Manhattan, the victims, and why the gunman seemingly targeted NFL headquarters. Plans Up in the air, why Air Canada's flight attendants might strike, and the advice to worried travelers. Plus, date night vibes?
Katy Perry? That's crazy.
A pop superstar and a former prime minister enter the chat. Good evening and thanks for joining us. There is more pressure on Israel tonight. The UK has joined France in saying it will formally recognize Palestine as a state. The British Prime Minister says the catastrophic failure of aid to Gaza has led to starving babies and children too weak to stand. Images, he says, that will stay with us for a lifetime.
This is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September.
He is calling on Israel to agree to a ceasefire, commit to a two-state solution, and allow the UN to resume aid distribution in Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister tonight accused the UK of rewarding Hamas. The Secretary General of the United Nations said today the facts are undeniable. Gaza is on the brink of famine. What's needed, the UN's Food Security Agency says, is immediate action. Redmond Shannon has our top story and a warning some of the content is disturbing.
This is as close as some Gazans may come to seeing food today. Those lucky enough to live near a drop zone fight. Sometimes literally to get a box or even just a tin. Children got hurt. They were crushed. The tragedy here is unbelievable, says this man. He says much more aid is needed to reverse the disaster unfolding in Gaza. Aid agencies agree.
This is unlike anything we have seen in this century. It reminds us of previous disasters in Ethiopia or Biafra in the past.
Tonight, the deadliest mass shooting in New York in years. What we're learning about a possible motive. Terror in the streets of one of the busiest parts of Manhattan. The gunman turning an AR-15 on a skyscraper full of workers. The notes he left behind, why he may have been targeting the NFL offices, and hinting at CTE from his days playing high school football, and what his former coach tells us tonight. Plus, his history of mental health incidents, and what we're learning about the people he shot. The NYPD mourning the officer killed, and a top female executive shot in cold blood. President Trump revealing new details about why he and Jeffrey Epstein had a falling out decades ago. The president saying the convicted sex offender stole employees from the Mar-a-Lago spa, including a prominent Epstein accuser. In Gaza, the death toll reportedly goes past 60,000. The new aid drops hitting the ocean, people running into the water in desperation. The sailboat pulled from the bay in that camp tragedy where two young girls died. Authorities interviewing the captain of the barge that collided with the sailboat, testing him for drugs and alcohol. The monster tornado caught on camera, video capturing the twister, picking up a structure and ripping it apart. This just in, the new photo of a person of interest in the case of that couple killed while hiking with their two young daughters. Cracking down on cheating, ChatGPT's new tool to make sure kids are learning along the way. But will students actually use it? Savannah Sellers shows us how it works. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
Murder in Manhattan.
In total, we have 5 victims shot, including a cop who died a hero.
What drove this former high school football player cross country to kill?
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
4 people went to work as usual in a New York City office building. They had every right to expect they would return home safely as usual, but this time they did not.
A police officer and a security guard, an investment firm executive, and a real estate company employee were shot to death last evening, leaving their families and the rest of America to ask why.
A question we will try to answer. The gunman had driven cross-country from Las Vegas carrying a rifle and, according to a copy of a suicide note obtained by CBS News, a grudge against the National Football League.
NFL headquarters are in that Midtown Manhattan office building, which is where Lilia Luciano begins our coverage. So, Lilia, 24 hours since this news broke, where is the investigation?
Well, right now, the crime scene was just boarded up. We just saw that happen minutes ago. And in terms of the NYPD, they're expanding their investigation, sending detectives to Nevada with a search warrant for the gunman's home and questions for those who knew him and have any information about what he might have been planning and his weapons. A surveillance camera captured the moment the gunman approached the building carrying a semi-automatic rifle. It was just as many workers were leaving to go home.
You're responding to an active shooter incident.
The first victim was shot in the lobby. Didarul Islam was a cop moonlighting as a security guard. He was an immigrant from Bangladesh and a father of two, with a third child on the way. CBS New York spoke to Islam's nephew.
The youngest son doesn't really understand. And his breaking news overnight. The biggest earthquake for a generation.
Warnings it can result in tsunamis hitting the coast of Japan and the Philippines. The wires raised for possible mass destruction imminently.
We'll be bringing you up to date with all of the developments this morning as the world watches on.
Confirmed the UK will recognise the State General Assembly in December. Backlash to the PM's plans to officially recognise the state of Palestine. So will it bring peace to the Middle East, or, as a Trump is it more, a little more than political?
President working day that was able to
of his course was, as is typical for the president, his use of politics with pageantry.
GB News' Charlie Peters speaks exclusively to a woman whose story of abuse and subsequent failure are beyond belief.
We're going to speak to Mark Francois, the Shadow Defence Minister, who's petitioned to protect island veterans. Mark support.
And sports Serena Figman has now become the country's favourite ever Dutch woman after yesterday's Lioness Parade. On the eve of the final England-India test, there's more feistiness, this time involving the Oval's groundsman, and if the American president does it, is it okay to cheat a little at golf?
Hello there, good morning. Plenty of sunny spells, but could we see a risk of thunderstorms tomorrow?
It's just gone at 6 a.m. I'm Christopher.
I'm Ellie Costello, the GB News Breakfast.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24. These are the headlines. Warnings to move to higher ground. People in Russia, Japan, Hawaii, Mexico all told to get away from coastal areas. Tsunami alert sent following a powerful 8.8 magnitude earthquake. So far, no signs of major incidents, but dangerous currents and strong waves are being reported. More than 60,000 Palestinians have now been killed in Gaza since October 2023. Tens of thousands more could die soon due to starvation caused by the Israeli blockade of goods into the region. The slight increase this week, nowhere near enough to stave off deaths, say aid organisations. And moving to scrap limits on greenhouse gas regulations, the Trump administration plans to repeal the legal foundation that has been set for all US greenhouse gas emissions. It wants to throw out the idea that those emissions endanger human health.
This is DW News. These are our top stories. A tsunami has struck parts of Russia's Kuril Islands and Japan's northern island of Hokkaido. The tsunami was triggered by a massive magnitude 8.8 earthquake off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, the strongest quake recorded in the region since 1952. Several countries, including the United States and the Philippines, have now issued tsunami warnings for their Pacific coastlines. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the UK will officially recognize Palestinian statehood in September if Israel does not agree to a ceasefire in Gaza. Starmer said it was part of the government's commitment to a two-state solution. He also demanded Hamas release all residents crackdown on immigration and a pause on all new applications for humanitarian parole programs. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find more on our website at dw.com.
The situation has
evacuate coastal areas. Also ahead, here's Starmer's ultimatum to Israel. Stop the suffering in Gaza or the UK will recognise a Palestinian state. We report on how Altrincham has become a beacon of time. For a life of obesity, a study finds that 1 in 3 supermarket baby foods are ultra-processed. Very good morning to you. We begin with breaking news. There are tsunami warnings in place across the Pacific after a powerful 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck just off the coast in Russia's eastern Kamchatka region. Several people were injured by the earthquake. The quake was the strongest in the area since 1952, according to Russian authorities, and it triggered a tsunami wave of up to 4 meters. People in Japan and Hawaii have been told to leave coastal areas and get to higher ground.
We would not be doing this. This wasn't most serious at this point in time, so please take this very seriously and don't.
Eve of Destruction starts Wednesday, August 13th.
tsunami warnings issued for parts of Japan, Russia and Hawaii after a major earthquake off Russia's Pacific Peninsula. Inflation falls to 2.1%, raising hopes of a rate cut at the next Reserve Bank meeting. The United Kingdom signals it will recognise Palestine as a state unless Israel commits to a ceasefire in Gaza. And the federal government to include YouTube and a social media ban for under-16s, cancelling plans for an exemption. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Catherine Robinson. Let's start with some breaking news now. And tsunami waves of up to 4 metres have been reported in Russia's far east after a massive earthquake. The magnitude 8.8 quake was shallow at a depth of under 20 kilometres, prompting tsunami alerts in parts of Russia and Hawaii. North Asia correspondent James Oaten joins us now from Tokyo. James, what information do you have on this so far?
Good afternoon. Well, as you just mentioned, this was an 8.8 magnitude earthquake that is incredibly powerful, and it struck off the Kamchatka Peninsula, which is
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Rani Somtani. At this hour, the tsunami has hit coastal areas of Russia's far east and Japan's north after a powerful earthquake. The tremor triggering warnings across the Pacific. The Philippines, parts of the U.S., and Ecuador all bracing for strong waves. The ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia appears to be holding despite reports of sporadic skirmishes and fresh accusations of truce violations. Thousands of residents have yet to return home a week after clashes broke out. And Israel accuses the United Kingdom of turning a blind eye to terrorism after Britain said it would recognize a Palestinian state unless the Israeli government acts to end the war in Gaza.
Africa News. The news
Ending months of speculation, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara says he will stand for a fourth term in office. Ivory Coast's long-standing President Alassane Ouattara says he will be running for a fourth term in office, ending months of speculation. In 2016, he changed the constitution to extend the number of terms a president can stand.
L'élection présidentielle se tiendra.
The presidential election will be held on Saturday, the 25th of October 2025. This election will be an opportunity to confirm once again the strength of our institutions and the deep roots of our democracy. As I've said on several occasions, all measures have been taken to ensure that the elections are peaceful, democratic, and transparent. His announcement will likely spark anger among the Ivorian opposition, which voted the 2020 election in protest against Ouattara's third term, which it deemed unconstitutional. Yes, I'm running for office, but our country's constitution allows me to serve another term and my health permits it. I'm running because our country is facing unprecedented security, economic and monetary challenges that require experience to manage. Indeed, the terrorist threat is growing in the sub-region, and international economic uncertainties pose a risk to our country. This is a reality that no one can deny, a reality that I cannot ignore. I'm running because I want our beloved Côte d'Ivoire to remain a country of peace and security.
Continue de demeurer un pays prospère, en paix et en sécurité.
Candidates for the two main opposition parties are currently barred from standing in the
Seems like these were common in Senegal as waves of political violence rocked the country between 2021 and 2024. Now the country is looking to confront the dark and painful chapter in its history, with the Justice Minister announcing an official investigation has been opened into the unrest. At least 80 people were killed and dozens were seriously injured during clashes with security forces and interconnections with civilians. The prosecutor of the Republic in Dakar, tasked with leading the investigation, says his goal is to determine potential accountability and decide whether to pursue charges against civilian security forces or political leaders. Some citizens claim to have been victims of torture. A controversial amnesty passed in the 4 weeks of the President Macky Sall's term had initially derailed many hopes for justice. But legal experts argue that the most serious crimes, including torture and extrajudicial killings, cannot be covered by such a law.
In Gaza, hunger is no longer a threat but a daily reality, especially for children. Nearly 1 in 5 children under the age of 5 in Gaza City is malnourished and all to survive. Food crisis experts said the enclave is now seeing the worst-case scenario of famine, but treating malnutrition is far from simple.
You don't manage malnutrition simply by providing people with any form of food. There is a very careful process that one needs to follow using specialist nutritional supplements to counteract the effect of nutrition on the body. So it's not simply a case of if one is malnourished that you eat carbohydrate-rich foods and you will be able to recover. You require very carefully titrated food supplementation.
International pressure pushed Israel to announce measures over the weekend, including daily humanitarian pauses in fighting and airdrops of aid. But the United Nations and Palestinians on the ground say little has changed in the enclave. Without basic essentials, hunger could severely and durably compromise children's health.
Children with stunting and wasting face long-term consequences, including impaired physical growth, weakened immunity, poor cognitive development, all of which can have a lasting social and economic impact later in life, way later. And that's when it becomes visible and imminent, apart from the
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shekel 5858. I am Amir Shekel. Have a good life. Bye-bye.